1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Group Captain Leonard Cheshire won Britain's highest award for bravery, the Victoria Cross, as a bomber pilot during the Second World War. I'm going to ask him now what, in his opinion, goes to make up the word we know as courage. We have many different types of courage. There's the courage of desperation. There's the courage of a man who goes back to rescue an injured comrade from a sinking ship, knowing full well that he only has minutes in which to clear the flooded alleyways and get back onto the deck. There's the courage of a miner entombed in a mine who breaks his way out, knowing full well that any movement could bring down debris that would crush him to death. And he does this in order to lead a rescue team back to his friends. And there's a type of courage shown by a long-term cancer patient who knows full well that he was never going to leave the hospital that he lies in alive, yet puts on a brave face for the benefit of those about him. The courage shown in war is often different. It has to be different to that shown in the normal lives in peacetime. I'm now going to ask Group Captain Cheshire what, in his opinion, is courage.
Well, I think that courage is a very personal, intimate thing. It's almost impossible for the outsider to determine the degree of courage in somebody else, because it does seem to me that in order to be brave, you have to have some fear to overcome. One man can do a thing without any knowledge of the danger. Another man can be obsessed by the fear of what's going to happen. And outwardly, they've both done the same thing. But in fact, one was very brave, and the other was doing quite a normal thing. If we took an absurd example, there could be a child in the sea there needing rescuing, and the beach could be mined, and you could know it was mined, and I didn't know it was mined, and we both ran across. Clearly, one was a courageous act, the other was just a normal thing. That's an extreme. But I've seen many men briefed to go out on raids at night in Bomber Command, and you could almost see them in two categories. You could see the one person who clearly was thinking of nothing but the target, nothing but the fact we've got a job to do, we're going to go and do it. The other man, you could see in his mind was the thought of how many guns, what's the opposition, where are the fighters? And because of his makeup, this was the predominant thought in his mind. Now, two lots went out. And I would say that the first lot, those who didn't think so much about the defences, probably achieved the most. They did the most spectacular things. They possibly even came back more often. But when you come to think of it, it was the second group who were the bravest, because they had this awful inner fear, and they managed to conquer it. So I say that courage is the conquering of fear. And that although we award people and congratulate people because of what we consider as brave in them, I don't think it's really the true test. It's also much easier to do a thing when it's spectacular and when you're being watched. You know, I think the difficult things are when you're unknown and hidden and nobody will ever know. And when I think of people in war, I think it's those that I remember the most.
Now, this is a very personal question, sir. You yourself have done numerous operations. Did you, before the operation, have what we loosely call butterflies in the tum, examination feeling?
Yeah, I sometimes did, but by and large, no. The fact that I was sitting in a seat and that there was a bit of metal around me and that there was a plastic windshield or whatever it was a comfort to me. I know it could stop nothing, but in my mind it was a protection. And I was preoccupied with the thought of how to get there and how to fly and what manner of attack to employ and that kind of thing. And with one or two exceptions, it didn't worry me too much. Also, as a pilot, you're doing something, and this makes an enormous difference. If you're not doing anything, I remember being caught in a bombing raid in London. I was a totally different person. I was nervous, I was anxious, I was thinking about myself. I had nothing to do except just, was there a bomb coming? When I heard the whistle, was it coming close? So I think that one man is very good in one situation and he's just not good in another, and vice versa.
As well as flying as a team in a large bomber, you perfected a method of marking targets on your own in a light aircraft, a Mosquito. Did you find that you operated better on your own in these Mosquito aircraft or as the commander of a bomber crew?
Well, in a Mosquito we did have two. I had a navigator, Pat Kelly. I preferred the Mosquito infinitely because for low flying, fast manoeuvring, the Mosquito, of course, was way above a heavy bomber. So it's difficult to make the comparison. I then flew in a Mustang when they took the Mosquitoes away, and that was a one-man job. But it was very difficult to do it, to have split-second timing, get navigational accuracy. I wouldn't like to tell you some of the things the navigators said to me when I went off. It's a difficult comparison. I think by and large I'm happy on my own. I can do things my own way. May not be the right way, but I feel it's right for me. But on the other hand, I think it was the company and the example of the others in the aircraft that, gave me a comfort and a strength.
It's said, or it has been said, that what makes a hero is witnesses. Would you agree with this statement?
Well, absolutely. Not only witnesses, but success. I mean, if you look at the heroes or the people who've won the awards, it's not enough to have been brave. You've got to be seen, and you've got to have been successful. By and large, I don't think awards were given for an unsuccessful action. So that we, I suppose, give awards the best way we can, but I don't think it's really the right way. It's not the true way, I mean, you can't... You've got to qualify awards by those two conditions.
Well, I know you're a very busy man, Group Captain Cheshire, but there is one thing I'd like to ask you finally. Have you any word of advice to the young people that will be listening to this tape recording with regards to courage, the courage to go on through life, holding to the true path rather than any false deviations that may be presented to them?
Well, it's very, difficult and presumptuous to give advice because all our lives are different and individual and we've each got our own contribution to make. But I think that first we have got to be true to what we believe. We may at times be mistaken in what we believe, but we can't help that. But whatever we do believe, we must be true to it. And we've got to be prepared to stand up for it, to not equivocate. We've got to be prepared to listen to other people's points of view, but where we really believe something, we've got to stand by it. And I also think that the crucial thing is having our minds occupied by something or somebody outside ourselves. And I think that all the great things in life are achieved by people whose minds are concentrating on what they've got to do, not thinking about themselves, either thinking about their work. In war, we had to think about victory because we knew what was at stake. In times of emergency, you think about the other man who's in such trouble. A mother will think about her child. In all those situations, you see a selflessness which in a way is easy to achieve because you're urged on by this challenge. The minute you fall back onto yourself and think about yourself and what may happen to yourself, you achieve nothing. And I think it's when we are pulled by some objective, some ideal, or some challenge, we do better.
Thank you very much for that few words.